What's up, college football addicts? Our main story today is about one of the wildest predictions, just like we promised you, that I've ever heard about Colorado, or specifically their 2024 season. Plus, stick around later and I'll tell you guys the truth about Colorado's new defensive coordinator. Now, once again, I'm joined today by a former college football coach and now podcaster, host of the massively popular Crain and Company. That's Jake Crain. But quickly, full disclosure, I am a big Coach Prime fan. I've followed most of his career, and I truly do think that he is going to be successful here in 2024, but I will do my very best to be as unbiased as possible in this video. Colorado recently announced their 2024 football schedule. The Big 12 put them all out. And after doing some deeper research on the schedule, I felt like there were quite a few scary trap games that are listed within the schedule. And to be honest, a game or two that has me scratching my head as well. I'll talk to you about those as soon as we roll that film and let you hear from Jake. The schedule is a little bit different this year, moving to the Big 12. Got some of those same Pac-12 rivalries that they played last year as well. But it starts out kind of like last year. North Dakota State to open it up, then at Nebraska, at CSU, instead of getting both of those games in Boulder. So they do get the home game to start it, which is not easy by any means, playing North Dakota State.
Who schedules that, TJ? Who schedules that game? It's the same people who are like, man, you know what? Let's play triple option team.
Georgia Tech, bring on Navy.
Yeah. Let's play a triple option team in the non-conference, just so I can just puke every night before I go to sleep as a coach. I got rules. You want to know the rules, TJ? If I always had, and I coached 6.5 years Division I. I always said if I was the head coach, here's the scheduling rules I have non-conference. 1, we're not playing a triple option team. I don't care if it's Bishop Sycamore or Becky the Icebox and the Little Giants. We're not doing it. Second thing, I'm not playing a school based on a religion. Nobody fights harder for longer against worse odds than those guys. I'm not dealing with it. And 3, I am not playing you in a neutral site in your home state. And I know it worked out for Florida State. I'm not going to New Orleans to play LSU in a neutral site game, right? We can go to Atlanta and play. That'd be great. Bring the kids. It's fantastic. We go out to California and play. Hell, if you can get out there now, I'll meet you out there. But I'm not going to your state. If I'm LSU, I'm not going to play Florida State in Orlando. I'm just not doing it. So those are my 3 rules. And then, you look at North Dakota State, they're just kind of a caveat because that's like the scariest team. I know they're not. I know they didn't win it this past year. But I'm just telling you, I don't understand why you would look at it and be like, man, it would be awesome. What if we played North Dakota State? Give me North Dakota. Give me somebody that's awful. That's fine. Let me destroy them because I want to get the confidence going, because it doesn't matter now. You can go 13-0 and get left out of the playoffs. Non-conference, my ass, TJ. Excuse my language. I'm not playing anybody anymore. Yeah. That was what I said was one of the biggest problems about FSU getting left out. Why would I ever schedule anybody good in the non-conference anymore? Why would I ever do that? Because it obviously doesn't matter. You beat 2 SEC teams, one of them on the road with a third-string quarterback. It wasn't like Florida State was just, I know they played North Alabama, but outside of that, it wasn't just a walk through the tulips. So I would never schedule a good non-conference team again. That's why bring some like IMG in here. Let's just run them out of the gym real quick.
Yeah, tough one to open up with, and no upside. You win, you're supposed to win. You lose, and it's like shut the program down.
No upside. It's like kissing a 4 in the bar in front of all your friends. What's the upside, man?
At Nebraska, who, like you said, Sims probably doesn't drop the ball 450 times, or quarterback there probably won't drop the ball 450 times for them. And then at Colorado State, which ended up being a really good game. That so Murder's Row to start it, but if they were to start 3-0, right? And I'm not predicting that this early. If they were to start 3-0, would the fever pitch get close to as loud as it was last season?
It was so new last year and so unexpected, and there were so many questions around Prime in year 1. I think it'd almost be impossible to have that same level of hype. But make no mistake, TJ, it would be nonstop.
Yeah.
I mean, you'd have Michael Irvin and them talk about it again. And listen, like I didn't mind it. It was a cool story. I kept telling everybody, you know what else is a cool story? Like Little Red Riding Hood. Like, but eventually we know what happened to her. I mean, all they found was the basket in the hood. She was gone. Like it just at some point, yeah, cute story. This isn't the Lifetime channel. This isn't a Hallmark movie. Like this is a regular season, and this is reality in real life. So the hype train will be there again. And listen, if they do start out 3-0, TJ, and I'm watching them and they look ready up front, that's a different story. Like that's different. I got to see them first.
All right, let's wrap up with this. What is your boldest prediction for Colorado this year?
My boldest prediction for Colorado is that they will have, let me put it this way. Shadur Sanders will be invited to New York. I'll give you kind of a multi-pronged one. But Colorado will not have more than one win past what they did last year. I don't think they go to a bowl game. I don't.
Wow, missable, but he goes to the Heisman ceremony.
Yes.
That'd be mind-blowing. That's a mind-blowing.
There's your bold one. There's your bold one. There's your bold one.
Yeah, that's mind-blowing as can be. Jake, where can people follow you? Where can they find you? I love your show. You do a great job, but tell people where they can find all of this. And I appreciate you so much taking some time today.
Dude, of course. Love your work too. And listen, you can find that anywhere. But yeah, look, if you watch your shows, we're on YouTube, Crain and Company, CRAIN and Company. We go live each weekday morning, 6:30 a.m. to 8 a.m. Central. It's 7:30 a.m. to 9 a.m. Eastern. I'm not smart enough to know the other time zones, but I'm sure y'all can figure it out if you live in them. And if you can't catch us live, that's fine. It stays up there all day. We're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, it's spelled the same. We do have live calls, kind of Feinbaum-ish a little bit. We have great callers that call in. We have a live chat that's very, very active. That's a lot of fun as well. And we just had a movie come out called Lady Ballers. Everybody just Google the trailer. I think you'll get a kick out of it. But yeah, man, we have a good time. It's sports shows the way they kind of used to be, and talk a little bit of everything, including a lot of college football. So, but I appreciate you having me on, man. Like I said, I love what you're doing, and definitely down to come on. We got to get you on Crain and Company here soon.
I appreciate Jake of Crain and Company for stopping by and chatting with us a couple of times on Colorado and Coach Prime. I'll link a video at the end of this in case you missed our first conversation with Jake Crain on Colorado and what he expects this season. Now, I want to talk about Jake's wild prediction, and now I ultimately think that Colorado will do with this first year in the Big 12. I'll tell you this. I know if you're a Colorado fan or if you're a Coach Prime supporter, you didn't love hearing Jake say that they wouldn't really increase their win total from last year. I'll tell you this. I disagree with him. I don't think that's the case. I do think that they have the ability to win a lot more games than they did last year. I think the biggest takeaway for me on Colorado is the fact of how they played down the stretch. They weren't able to finish games, and they weren't able to find a way to win, but they were in those games. And we all know the famous adage, first you have to lose big, and then lose small, and then win small, and then win big. If they can start to turn some of those small losses into small wins, then I think their 2024 will be much more successful than their 2023 was. They lost 5 games by 1 score. They lost another game by 12 points, a UCLA game that they were very much in, just couldn't find a way to get the ball into the end zone. That offensive line really hurt them in that game. They got blown out against Washington State. They got blown out against Oregon. Those are only 2 games where they were really out of it before they even had a chance to see what hit them. But the other 10 games, they were certainly in, and they certainly had a chance. They don't play a team with the talent level of Oregon this year, and they will be in most of these games that they're playing. Their start will be incredibly important. And what is their true ceiling? I don't think it's unreasonable to think that Coach Prime couldn't get them to 8, 9 wins on the year. Can they get to 10, 11, 12? Can they compete for the playoff? Can they compete for the Big 12? I think that'd be pretty tough to project at this moment. I think that'd be pretty tough to know without having them having seen them go through spring, go through fall, get through some of those early games to know what's going to happen. But speaking on those games, I certainly think there are some trap games in there and some real head scratchers as far as a scheduling standpoint. First of all, who scheduled this North Dakota State game? This is not one that I am really looking forward to because there's just no win here. You win, and that's what you were supposed to do. You lose, and it's some kind of glaring issue on your program. Whereas North Dakota State, one of the best FCS schools programs that have ever existed, and a team that was competing for their championship just a year ago in 2023. I do think that Colorado should win that one way or the other. I think that the game after that, the game at Nebraska, going to be a very tough game. I don't necessarily know that I'd call it a trap game just because, man, you know what week 2 holds and you know what it took to beat them last year. It took Jeff Sims giving you the ball about 1 million times for you to get that done. But Nebraska returns a lot of production, just like Colorado does. Colorado top 15 in the country in returning production, but Nebraska bringing back a lot of their production as well. Can you get by the Cornhuskers and get that win? And then you think about Baylor. Well, why Baylor? That's a home game. That's after 3 tough games. You'd think that that'd be an easy one, one that you should just write down as a win in your book. Well, what worries me about Baylor is the fact that you are coming off 3 really tough games. And if you can start 3-0 again, which I think Colorado has a good chance to do, they should beat Colorado State. They should beat North Dakota State University. And if they can get the win at Nebraska, they'll start the year 3-0. They can't come home and let their foot off the gas. They almost let their foot off the gas against Colorado State last year at home, and it nearly cost them late in that game. An overtime thriller that the Buffs were able to get the win, but they can't do that again when they play Baylor at home this year. Win, loss, or draw, no matter what's happened the weeks before, they've got to come in focused to beat that Baylor team. At Kansas is another game that certainly screams trap to me. You play Utah and Oklahoma State the week before and the week after. That Oklahoma State team was in the Big 12 championship. Obviously, Utah coming over from the Pac-12 as well. A really good team. Will have Cam Rising back, and a team that you played well last year, but a team you would think will take a step forward with Cam back in the fold. I think that's a tough Kansas game, sandwiched in between 2 really good games and a tough little stretch there at the end. You cannot ignore how good Kansas might be this year. Finally, let me give you my thoughts on Colorado's new defensive coordinator. I like former Bengals assistant Robert Livingston. I like the pickup for Coach Prime. It was one that not a lot of people projected, not a lot of people predicted, but one that Coach Prime surprised a lot of people by bringing him in. I think it's a big pickup from the standpoint of I think he's going to call a defense the way that Coach Prime would because he's got a secondary focus. He's got a defensive back focus, and that's ultimately what Coach Prime would be doing if it was his defense that he was calling. I think also you look at some of the talent on that team, and you look at the guys that are most important to develop, and they have certainly brought in their fair share of elite defensive backs from Hunter to McLean, obviously Sanders back there in the defensive secondary as well. I think they really want to get the most out of those 2 units, the secondary units, and then really have the defense supporting what they can do on the back end. So I think it makes sense from that standpoint. You certainly need to invest in the secondary, in the second level. You need to invest in your defensive line, but what you're able to do there in the secondary is going to dictate how good Colorado is going to be this year defensively. They bring back a lot of production on the defensive side of the ball, well over 70%. And if Robert Livingston can get that group humming and rolling, they could be pretty special this year in 2024. I think that they've got a chance to get to that 8-9 win mark. Can they get higher than that? I think it's going to be tough, but I do believe the floor is about 6 or 7 wins. I think they've got a bowl game if everyone can stay healthy, if they can protect Shedeur a little bit better than they did last year. Just give themselves a chance in games. And I think they have a chance to start 2-1, 3-1, 3-0, maybe get that Baylor game as well, 4-0. I think they could start anywhere between 2-2 and 4-0. I'd lean toward 3-1. I think the Nebraska game is going to be incredibly tough on the road, but if they can start at 3-1, then they can play UCF shortly after that. That's a very winnable game. You get to that 4th, 5th win before you even get midway through the year. You got bowl eligibility locked up. Then you're playing not with house money, but you're playing with a lot more confidence on the back half of the season. You're not chasing wins like you had to do last season in 2023. What are your thoughts on Colorado? What are your thoughts on where Coach Prime will take this team in 2024? Again, I appreciate Jake Crain of Crain & Company for stopping by. Don't agree with his assessment completely on what they'll do this year. I'd love to see him be right about Shedeur, wrong about the record. Let me know what you think about it down in the comments. Hey, I appreciate you guys for tuning in. I appreciate you for stopping by. College Football Addiction. Make sure that you're subscribed to the channel. You're locked in if you want to see more content just like this, Coach Prime content, whatever you're looking for from a national perspective, we will get you taken care of here on College Football Addiction.